Hello again, welcome back to the channel. Glad you could join me. I wanted to talk today about the A.B.C. Murders by Agatha Christie. It is a Hercule Poirot mystery. We start out with Arthur Hastings. Now, Arthur Hastings is an old friend of Hercule Poirot's, and he is coming back from South America to England. And he meets up with Poirot in London. Now, if you've read a lot of the Agatha Christie novels, you know that there are very few recurring characters over the series. Hastings being one of the few who's in more than one novel. There are a few others. Chief Inspector Japp is another one. But the thing is that with the investigations that Poirot is doing, the police officer that's in charge of the investigation, a lot of times that police officer is interchangeable, especially with Poirot traveling around. Anyway, it's interesting that they focused on Arthur Hastings. So Acorn Media, I believe it was, did a Poirot series for the BBC, if I remember right. And they televised all of the Agatha Christie Poirot novels. And the thing is that they changed a lot of these because they introduced recurring cast members so that there was much more continuity. So Arthur Hastings, I think he's in 7 of the Poirot novels, but he's in a lot more of the episodes on the show. Anyway, that being said, when Arthur Hastings meets up with Poirot back in his flat in London, his apartment. Flat is what they would be saying in England. He's shown some letters, 2 letters. And they are from somebody who is a murderer, or at least Poirot suspects that they are from a murderer. They're talking about a crime that's going to be carried out by a mysterious person initialed A.B.C. And then it does turn out to be murders. And the first person who is killed is Alice Asher, A.A. And she is killed in her tobacco shop in a city called Andover. The next one is Elizabeth, but she goes by Betty. So her name is Betty Bernard. And she is killed on a beach in a city called Bexhill. And then we have Sir Carmichael Clark, who's killed in his home in Churston, I believe is how you say it. Now, each murder, an ABC rail guide. ABC is the alphabetical listing of the trains that run in England. This rail guide is left next to the body. So we have Chief Inspector Japp, who gets called in on this. Poirot comes in. There's a Dr. Thompson who's trying to profile this killer. And we have Poirot who gathers together all the people that are next of kin to try to figure out if there's a link between the victims. Because otherwise it's just random chance that these people had alphabetical names and that they were killed in alphabetical locations. So we have Franklin Clark, who's Sir Carmichael's brother. We have Mary Drower, who was the niece to Alice Asher. Donald Fraser, who was Betty's fiancé. We have Betty, who is her elder sister. We have Thora Gray, who was an assistant to Sir Carmichael. And so they're all gathered together by Poirot to try to figure out why would each of these people be targeted by a murderer, and how do we figure out who's going to be the next so that we can catch the murderer and prevent the next murder from occurring. Now, ABC does send out another letter saying that there's going to be basically a murder happening in a place called Doncaster. So the police all rush over to Doncaster to try to prevent and the murder and catch the murderer. There's still a murder, and this is where things for the murderer start to unravel, because the person who gets murdered doesn't fit with the pattern. Yes, they were killed in a city called that starts with a D, so that follows. We have Andover, Bexhill, Churston, and then Doncaster, but the man who gets killed doesn't match that pattern. However, we are introduced to the first suspect in these murders, and that's Alexander Bonaparte Cust, A.B.C. He is an epileptic traveling salesman. He suffers from memory blackouts, and he has headaches that arise from a head injury that he had sustained during World War I. Now, he actually tries to turn himself in to the Andover police station, and that's when we start finding out that this person did visit each of these places. And there's a lot of evidence that starts mounting against this A.B.C. Now, if you know anything about Agatha Christie, and you know anything about the Poirot novels and things, obviously this A.B.C. isn't going to be the one who committed the murders. It's just too neat and easy at this point. What has Hercule Poirot done? He's done basically nothing. He's gathered the victim's next of kin, basically, and said, okay, what's going on here? How can we create a link between these victims? But the police got a tip-off about Alexander Bonaparte Cust, and he turned himself in for the murders. So, obviously, there's a lot more to go here. I like the Agatha Christie novels, particularly Poirot. I'm okay with the Jane Marple. I think I don't identify with her as well as I do with Hercule Poirot. I don't necessarily know that I identify with him, but I enjoy his character better. His idiosyncrasies, his ego, his little gray cells. Obviously, the reason that one of the reasons that he is such a good detective is he has faith in his abilities. And I shouldn't say faith. He has confidence in his abilities. He is confident. But he also has everything that has to be just so. If something is out of line for him, it throws everything off. And he's a hypochondriac. And there's just so many things that make him an interesting character for me to enjoy following along. Like I said, I do enjoy Agatha Christie's other books. I've read some Jane Marple's. I've read some of her other standalone stuff. But I don't like the characters as much as I do Hercule Poirot. He's just that little bit of extra that you need. Now, a couple of other things about the books by Agatha Christie. I have heard them criticized in that everybody seems to love them. Now, one of the things that I have heard leveled against Agatha Christie is that she dealt in archetypes. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, in my opinion. If you have an archetype, it actually allows you to start with a base character and add little bits and pieces on as you go forward, as opposed to having to spin this character out of, pure imagination. You have the ability to rely somewhat on the reader to fill out that character profile for you, and then you can tack on some additional details that differentiates that character from other characters. So it's a shortcut. it could be considered lazy writing. The other thing that Agatha Christie tends to do is that at the end, the reveal, at that point, you're given more information that might have helped you figure out who done it earlier if you had had that information. But it serves to show how brilliant the detectives are in Agatha Christie's stories. Again, that can be considered lazy because you're not giving the full story to the reader so that they can piece the clues together themselves and come out with who done it at the end. There was a television show. It only lasted one season. It had Timothy Hutton. I think it was Timothy Hutton's father was in it. It's the Ellery Queen Mysteries. And one of the things that I really liked about the Ellery Queen Mysteries is that they wrote the stories in such a way that if you were paying attention and you were trying to figure things out yourself, you could. They gave you all the information up front, basically. And then at the reveal, right before they actually had the big reveal, they would do a fourth wall break where the actor of Ellery Queen would turn towards the camera and say, "You have all the clues. Were you able to solve it?" And then they would go and do the reveal, and they would list out, here's clue 1, here's clue 2, here's clue 3, here's clue 4. So on the one hand, I do like Agatha Christie's writing. The writing is smooth, it's engaging, it pulls you in, it builds the characters, not necessarily from the ground up, but it leaves you with enough of a scaffolding that when they add other details that you can create that character in your mind. But at the same time, when you get to the end, Hercule Poirot is like, "I am so brilliant." And it's like, well, I may have been that brilliant too if I had those details myself. I'm not saying you shouldn't read them. Like I said, I do enjoy them. I like the mysteries for what they are, but I do realize that there are some things that are there to be criticized. Anyway, that's it for today. Let me know if you've read the ABC Murders. Let me know if you've read some other Agatha Christie's and what you thought of them. As always, like, share, subscribe, all that other stuff. And until next time, enjoy what you're reading.